The BBC has learnt, though, that women in Syria had been sexually exploited by men delivering aid on behalf of the UN and international charities. A new report says that men would trade food and transportation in return for sexual favours. Danielle Spencer is a humanitarian worker who conducted focus groups with these women. She spoke to our diplomatic correspondent, James Landau.
So they were withholding the aid that had been delivered and then using these women for sex. So this was a range of women. There were women of different ages in the group. Some had experienced it themselves. Some were very distraught. I remember one woman crying in the room. She was very upset. You know, women and girls need to be protected when they are trying to receive food and soap and basic items to live. You know, the last thing you need is a man who you're supposed to trust and be supposed to receive aid from, then asking you to have sex with him and withholding that aid from you.
Danielle Spencer there talking to James Landau, just looking more into those allegations. More, of course, on what is happening though in Eastern Ghouta coming up just as soon as we can get in contact with Martin Patience. But here is James Landau now.
In southern Syria, it's very dangerous for international aid. So they largely use local partners to deliver their aid. And what we've learned is that in that process, some of the men who've been delivering that aid, called local councils, those are local community leaders, have been abusing that position of trust to demand sex in return for aid. In other words, you can get another bag of grain if you come home with me tonight, or you can get further up the queue if you come home with me tonight, or I can give you a lift home in my car with all your heavy bags if you come home with me tonight. Now, Danielle Spencer, who you just saw, she heard about this from Syrian refugees in Jordanian camps, refugee camps in 2015. She did a bit of a study. She brought it to a meeting. At that same meeting of the UN in Amman in Jordan, another charity, the International Rescue Committee, also said, oh, well, we've heard similar things too. So those warnings were there in 2015. But what it turns out is that that's 3 years ago. Apparently it's still going on. The UN Population Fund, UNFPA, brought out a report at the end of last year called Voices from Syria 2018, and it confirmed that it's still going on. Now, when you talk to anybody about this, we spoke to all the UN agencies and all the charities, they all say, look, we have a zero tolerance of sexual exploitation, we have lots of training and abuse like that, but they all say that they are not aware of any of these cases happening with their own partners that they're operating with in the region.
James Landau there.